So in the Renewed Hope document, education was treated as a foundation for national development. It wasn't even just about schooling. In that case, it was about human capital. So let's look at what was promised so that we can move from there. So in the manifesto, we had an outline. One of the first reforms that was promised was we would have a curriculum reform. That was the first one. I think the second one was teachers will have accreditation and quality improvement. Number 3 would be the student loan scheme. Number 4 would be increase in STEM focus. They promised education bonds. They also promised to reduce out of school children. Also better linkage between university and industry. Also, I think they tried to reduce the years in which people stay in school, the ASUU problem. And so it was rumored that education will be modernized. But let's really look at the reality. What has been done in education from things we've seen? I think you can get your pen and let's see what has been done. So the first one is the student loan scheme. I think this is going to be a big bragging right for them during the next election because the NELFund, that's the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, begun. And I remember telling people then that it was going to be a success because one of the clauses they had was the previous implementation was not, you had a lot of steps, but now once you're a student, you would access it. So that's a good one for the government, and that would really increase their score. I think that will be about 10% of the ratings if we were to look at it critically, because we have people who have gotten it. And just in case you've not, I think it's better you should go to the site and check it out. Today, as a student on campus, you should be able to search for it and get it. So I'll leave that to you. The second one is the curriculum reform. It has begun, and the federal government announced a bit of restructuring of basic education syllabus. This was just after, if we remember well, the previous Minister of Education was sacked in the rejigging, and the current minister, Mr. Lausa, they are working on the curriculum, which is a good one. They changed the syllabus. I think they also spoke about textbooks, ensuring that students can reuse textbooks with time, which is also another big good thing about a big positive for this government. So in that regard, in working on the syllabus, I think they've also done, or the curriculum, sorry, I think they've done well with that. The third one would be the ASUU issue, and this will be the first time after the 2019 pact that was signed. You see that ASUU, the Minister of Education and ASUU, they've come into an agreement on new terms, and everybody, we are all waiting for the implementation. I think the head of ASUU and all of, they were so happy with the improvement. So this is stability. We've not really had those prolonged strikes in the last 4 years. So these are real developments, and we must be careful. And, this is raising the mark to about 30 to 50%. But let's look at the things that they've not done, because one of the promises is to reduce the out of school children numbers. And to be sincere, although it will be hard to give accurate data, but just looking at the numbers in the northern part of Nigeria, we see one of the highest figures globally, and that shows that we've not had any form of reduction. I think I heard the governor on one political show that was talking about there has been a reduction, but I don't think that is true, except if I might be wrong, but I don't think that's true. So we still have an unclear data on that, and that would be like a minus. If we're at 60%, that would be a minus 10%. University funding too, we're waiting on the implementation of the new ASUU agreements. But do we have increase in infrastructure in universities? I'm not sure. I think it's been the same way, as slow as it was with the Buhari era. I think there's also the issue of the university system in which they do payments and shifting to a new system, and I think some of that has been covered in the new ASUU agreement. So again, we're waiting for implementation on that, but if it's implemented well, then I think that's another positive. Then for teacher welfare and training, beyond different announcements and different things, I don't think there's a measurable way. So I'm still going to score really low on this. One of the trends, dangerous trends I've noticed, is that we have not the best of us going into teaching. And the truth is, teaching would affect the next generation. So we want, a lot of people who are going to be teachers to have the best, I don't want to use mindset, the best quality. It looks like the teaching profession is now a profession not driven by passion, but just inability to get something better. And that has to change some way. But again, some of the government public schools, again, some governors are doing better than others. Governments like Lagos State, which I grew up in a good part of my life, and so we had such public schools were really competitive back then. So yeah, I'm still I can't give a good mark on that for that. But I heard about the fourth one would be technical and vocational education. I heard about some reforms. I saw some programs in that line. So let's say we can still give a good mark there. Then lastly, I think is the education bond funding. I've not really heard anything about it. Probably I'm not fully aware. And if you have more information on that, please feel free to hit me up. But one of the key things that the government will take pride in the last 4 years will be the NELFund. And anytime I have discussions with people who are politically critical, who critique the government, I tell them that look at how NELFund was passed way. It was an early innovation in the government, so that those things would kick off, because many times debates, National Assembly debates, Senate debates, public hearing, all of that, many times it could reduce efficiency of some of these policies. So let's go quick. So what are the things that will give the high mark? The student loan scheme, ASUU stability, and the curriculum reform. Those are the major three things that the government could do, which is almost like half, because the fundings in the manifesto, out of school crisis is still unresolved. The teacher system overhaul is still unresolved. Technical education is still unresolved. You just have limited reforms in that area. So if you were to ask me, I'll give the government 55%, just because it's above average. It takes someone who is who has good political will to implement some of the policies we've had. But I think with what he promised, he could do more. So transformation I wouldn't say it has arrived yet, but I think we're on the right path. So 55% is not so good, really. It depends on the country you're in. In the United States, and it shows that government should sit up, and the Minister of Education should, do more in that regards. So here's the most important thing. If truly we respect leadership, as I've been saying, we must learn to measure their performance. And that's why, as a supporter of the government, one who supported the government, I believe that we should pay attention to education. Another thing is, what was the budget? I think the budget for education is still relatively low, but has improved. So this, for the records, we respect leadership really, but we'll keep on asking why. I am Tim Up Close. See you in the next episode.